Welcome to the Explainer. We've gone through the insights from top financial experts, accountants, and honestly, about 40 of the best books out there on money. And what we've done is boiled it all down into one simple, actionable playbook that you can use to build wealth. It's funny. Albert Einstein wasn't just a genius physicist. He totally got the fundamental math of money. And this one idea, compound interest, it's like the secret engine of wealth. Today, we're going to show you exactly how to get that engine working for you instead of against you. Okay, so forget everything you've probably heard about the 50-year financial marathon. The whole save a tiny bit for your entire life thing. It's slow, it's painful, and let's be honest, it's pretty demoralizing. Instead, we're talking about a wealth-building sprint. The whole idea here is to go hard, be super focused and aggressive for a much shorter time, maybe 5 to 10 years. You max out your income, you max out your savings, and you front-load all that tough work. Then, you let compound interest do its thing, and you get to enjoy the results way, way sooner. All right, so here's our 6-step playbook for today. First, we're going to tackle the most crucial part, your mindset. Then, we'll dive into the math behind how money actually grows. After that, it's all about strategy, playing both offense and defense. Then we'll take on those common wealth killers that just totally derail your progress. And finally, we'll lay out a super simple path to put this all into practice. Okay, before we even think about touching a single dollar, we have to start with the most important tool you've got. And that's not a stock or savings account, it's your own psychology. Seriously, the way you think about money dictates every single decision you're going to make with it. This concept of life energy, it's a total game changer. It basically asks you to stop thinking how many dollars does this cost and start asking how many hours of my life did I trade to get this money? And when you do that, wow, your decisions just change instantly. That new phone isn't just a price tag anymore. It's like 20 hours of your actual life. Seeing it that way makes your choices crystal clear, right? And that leads right into maybe the most important distinction you can ever learn about money. The difference between an asset and a liability. It's so simple. The rich, they spend their lives acquiring assets, things that put money in their pocket. Pretty much everyone else spends their precious life energy on liabilities, which are things that take money out of your pocket. And the crazy part is, they often think those liabilities are assets. So your goal is super simple. Buy assets, avoid liabilities. That's it. And this proves that building wealth really isn't about luck or getting a big inheritance. When you actually study self-made millionaires, you see they all share a specific set of disciplined habits. They care way more about financial freedom than showing off with flashy stuff. They value that life energy we just talked about. And you know what? This is the exact mindset you need to power that wealth-building sprint. All right, so now that we've got the right mindset locked in, let's get to the engine that makes all of this go, the math. Honestly, understanding how your money actually grows, that's where the real magic happens. This right here is the perfect illustration of why starting early is your absolute secret weapon. Look at this. At an 8% return, 10 grand turns into almost 15 grand in just 5 years. Not bad. But look what happens if you just leave it alone for 30 years. It explodes to over $100,000. The key thing to get here is that most of that growth is just your money making more money all by itself. Time is doing all the heavy lifting for you. But here's the thing, compounding has a dark side. It can be a massively powerful force working against you. And mortgages, oh, they are the perfect example. Just take a look at this. On a $250,000 loan, your first payment is over $1,600. But guess what? Only about $200 of that actually goes to paying down your loan. A jaw-dropping 88% of your hard-earned money is just pure interest, going straight into the bank's pocket. And if you look at this table, you can see how for years and years, your payments are basically just feeding the bank's interest machine. That first payment, just $205 goes towards your actual house. And get this, even 10 years into the loan, it's still less than $500 a payment. It's really only at the very, very end that your money is finally paying off your home. And that's exactly why paying even a little extra on the principal, especially early on, is so incredibly powerful. Okay, so once you really get this math, it naturally leads us to strategy. See, building wealth isn't just about saving money, it's a two-sided game. You've got your offense and you've got your defense. You have to be working to maximize what comes in while at the same time minimizing what goes out, especially during that focused wealth-building sprint. Now, think about it this way. On the defense side, cutting your expenses, there's a hard limit, right? You can only cut so much. But on offense, your ability to earn money, well, the sky's pretty much the limit. That's why you should focus most of your energy on boosting your income, whether that's learning new skills or starting a side hustle. But at the same time, you gotta maintain a rock-solid defense by living below your means and avoiding that sneaky lifestyle creep. Where you start spending more just because you're making more. All right, let's shift gears and talk about the things that can completely sink your progress. We have to identify and just totally avoid these anchors that hold people back. I'm talking about bad debt and maybe even worse, really, really bad financial advice. The difference here is actually really simple. Bad debt makes you poorer every single month, period. It's when you take out a loan for something that goes down in value, like a new car or a big screen TV. Good debt, on the other hand, can help make you richer, but only if you use it wisely to buy an asset that actually makes you money. You absolutely have to learn the difference and avoid bad debt like the plague. And speaking of bad advice, you really need to watch out for this trick that's out there called velocity banking. It gets pushed online as this magical shortcut to pay off all your debt. But the whole strategy boils down to this. You take out a high-interest loan to pay off a low-interest loan. Yeah, as you can probably guess, the math just does not work. I mean, the numbers right here just expose the whole thing. If you have enough extra cash to pay off a loan in 8 months, just pay the original loan directly. It's cheaper. There is no secret magic trick that lets you get ahead by paying more in interest. Remember, the simplest path is almost always the most effective one. Let's put this into a real-world example, like buying a car. This chart is incredible. It shows the total cost of owning a $29,000 car for 3 years. Just look at the difference. Financing or leasing that car costs you over $4,500 more than if you had just paid cash. And why is that? It's simple. You're just burning thousands of dollars on interest payments. This is exactly why avoiding interest on stuff that loses value is so critical. Okay, so we've covered the mindset, we've gone through the math, and we've talked strategy. Now for the final step, creating a simple, repeatable plan. This is where we bring it all together. So here's the big question. Where should your next free dollar actually go? Should you pay down debt or should you invest it? Look, this isn't an emotional decision. It's pure math. All you do is compare the after-tax interest rate on your debt to the after-tax return you expect to get from investing. If your debt is costing you more than you think you can earn, then you pay down the debt. It's that simple. It's a guaranteed return on your money. And when it's time to invest, the absolute key is to keep it simple. Seriously, all the data shows that trying to beat the market with some super complex strategy, it just rarely works out in the long run. Instead, the most reliable, proven path to building wealth is through a diversified portfolio of low-cost index funds. This way, you basically own a tiny piece of the entire market, and you benefit from its overall growth. The strategy couldn't be simpler. Keep your costs low and just stay consistent. Because at the end of the day, this whole playbook isn't really about piling up a bunch of money. It's about buying back your freedom. It's the freedom from debt, the freedom from a job you can't stand. It's the freedom to spend your precious life energy on the things that actually matter to you. So that really just leaves you with one final and really important question to answer for yourself.